What's up, guys? Chris Kennedy again here. A couple years ago, I was living in Cambodia. I was working at a gym, teaching jiu-jitsu. One evening, I was walking home from work. Some drunk guy threw a shoe at me. A sandal, actually. Anyway, I was not happy that he threw his shoe at me, so I picked it up and I chucked it over a fence so that he couldn't get it back. He was not happy that I threw his shoe over a fence. He was also, for some reason, mad at me because I was a foreigner, I guess. I assume that's why he threw his shoe at me in the first place. He yells at me. He comes stomping across the street. I didn't speak any Cambodian, but the message was pretty clear. He was mad because I threw his shoe. He lifts up his fists, indicating that he wants to fight. He throws a punch at me. He was drunk. The punch was slow. I slipped it. I kind of hopped away. He did not pursue me. And I walked away, and as far as fights go, it was pretty uneventful, and nobody got hurt. So happy ending, right? I learned a very important lesson from this incident. And that lesson is that everybody needs to learn how to box. Everyone needs to learn how to throw hands. Okay? Let me explain. Cambodia has inconsistent sidewalks. I don't know why. I think it's because the government doesn't make the sidewalks like they do here in America. So here in America, when you walk down the sidewalk, it's just the same. It's the same color, it's the same material, and it's the same size. Cambodia is not like that. Outside of every building, the building makes the sidewalk. So the government isn't making the sidewalk. So if one building decides to make its sidewalk tile and like red, and then the building next to it decides to make it cement, and then the next building decides to make it like weird designs, and then one might make it taller than the other, and one might make a curb. Anyway, the sidewalk is constantly changing as you walk, and then a lot of the buildings just don't build a sidewalk, so then you see dirt a lot of the time. A lot of these sidewalks that these buildings make are made of tile, and when it rains, which it often does in Cambodia, this tile gets slippery. And when it's dry, it's fine. You can walk on it, run on it, no problem. But when it's wet out, the tile becomes very slippery. When this drunk guy came and attacked me, I immediately recognized that I could not throw a kick at him. I immediately recognized, and I had been doing plenty of Muay Thai and karate up to this point, but I immediately recognized that I could not kick him or I would slip and fall on my butt, which I didn't want to do. Additionally, this drunk guy was gross. This drunk guy, he was greasy looking. His face was all greasy looking. His clothes were dirty. And he had gum. He had like chewing gum that he had taken out and put on his head. And not like one piece. He had like 4 or 5 pieces of chewing gum on his forehead. And I did not want to touch him. He was super gross. And I was super grateful that I knew more than just grappling. That I knew more than just jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Because I did not want to touch this guy. Now, if push had come to shove and for some reason he had grabbed me and we fell to the ground, it would have been great that I knew jiu-jitsu. But initially, I was so glad that I knew more than just jiu-jitsu. Anyway, so the lesson here, for all the martial artists out there and anybody who wants to learn some self-defense as well. If you know some grappling, that's great. If you know how to throw a kick, that's great. But you must also learn how to box. You must learn how to fight with both your feet planted on the ground, and you must learn how to fight in the case that you don't want to touch somebody. If you're ever in a similar situation to the one I was in, you will thank yourself. All right, guys, good luck.